The conversation right here on News Central Television. I am Chiwata Onyema. Now, a major security and political challenge has intensified in Nigeria's northwest after armed gangs reportedly abducted over 170 worshippers from two churches in Kurmin Wali, Kaduna State during Sunday services. Now, the incident has become part of a troubling trend of mass kidnappings by criminal groups and is adding domestic and international pressure on Abuja over its handling of insecurity, particularly the safety of religious communities. Now, while local authorities deny that the mass abduction occurred as reported, community accounts and faith organizations maintain that dozens remain missing, underscoring the conflicting narratives surrounding Nigeria's struggle with violent crime and governance. Now, joining me to have this conversation is Regional Security Projects Director, Traz Intelligence and Security Solutions Limited, Mr. Chris Otieno. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go straight into the conversation. I mean, how does the reported mass kidnapping in Kurmin Wali reflect the broader pattern of armed gang activity in northern Nigeria?
Thank you for having me. First and foremost, could you say that this does not reflect very well on both Nigeria's security at Kaduna State, and equally does not represent very well on the intelligence community of the Kaduna State. Further than that, it reports on an increasing banditry situation, kidnapping situation, which is not good quite in the national security fabric, not quite good at all.
All right, so what dynamics within the Kaduna State, within the state itself, might explain the targeting of religious institutions and even worshippers?
There are quite a number of reasons. First and foremost, we have seen at one stage the security community denying that it ever happened, and the community reporting that it did happen. So we are asking ourselves from where we are seated, is it true that there's this community policing where the government security forces and the local community are working together? Is the Security Council for the government advising on exactly the situation on ground, or is not? We also see a religious aspect of this kidnap, and that does not quite reflect it. Just the other day, United States of America had military action in Nigeria based on religious differences. This does not reflect very well as we go into the future. Something needs to be done. We need to secure this state very well. We need to bridge in the gap. Where there's a lack of information, the community policy needs to be really brought up. And that cooperation between government security forces and the local communities.
Well, I'm informed right now that we're being joined by development activist Hauwa Mustapha. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to know, Hauwa, what implications does this incident have for Nigeria's national security strategy and intelligence coordination in rural areas?
Yeah, so very much implication, primarily the implication of this incessant insecurity around the country is that it's delaying, it's drawing back our development process. Here we are, a country that is struggling with growth, a country that is far behind in terms of development, that is lacking in basic infrastructure for development. Here we are, a country whose people, 65% of its population is suffering from not just poverty of income, but poverty of food, hopelessness, frustrations, and all that. And then you have this seriousness, this persistent case of insecurity. It has a huge implication for our development process, primarily because for a start, the funds that are expected to be dedicated for providing education, health, and other physical infrastructure will definitely be diverted to funding security outfits and security agents. Then secondly, when we talk about investment, it is not, in fact, talking about even expecting foreign investment in any form is even far-fetched. Let's even look at local investment. It is difficult for people even within the same communities to even invest because you cannot, there's no faith, in the security architecture. So it has a lot of implication for our development process in terms of funding, in terms of investing in infrastructure, in terms of human development. And I think that is very huge. But also to say that the way we even conceive addressing issues of security also does not take into cognizance around merging strategies for security and the strategy for development. And so the insecurity overwhelms us. We ignore the fact that even in designing security process or the security architecture for combating infrastructure, it has to be a holistic, strategy and not just militarization. It's not about the guns and the bullets. It's not about the army and the police and the armor, and the armories. It's much more than that. And we need to, very importantly, link the seriousness of insecurity to development, see what it's causing us, see the disadvantages, and learn how to address the fundamental causes of insecurity that links with, the pullback of the country and the development process.
All right, we're going to take a pause on this conversation. When we return, we will definitely continue. Stay with us. Still conversation, and of course we're talking about the insecurity situation in Kaduna State recently, where about 170 people were reported to have been abducted from a church. I have with me Hauwa Mustapha, who is a development activist, and joining us right now is Wing Commander Musa Isa Salmanu, retired. Mr. Salmanu, thank you so much for joining us. Let me start with you, Mr. Salmanu. How we have been having conflicting narratives as regards what happened in Kaduna State between security institutions and local witnesses. How will this impact public trust in government?
Well, so thank you for having me. Regarding the situation or the incidents that happened in Kaduna, and from what we're hearing from both eyewitnesses and people from the localities, there was an incident on Sunday when people were at church when these bandits came around and approached 3 different churches, and were able to have access to some of these people worshiping and gathered them and took some of them away. Later on, we heard that the old and the young, that's the children, and the old among them were released, and a few number escaped. That is what we are having, or that is the information that is out there in the public domain. However, initially there were reports of that or denial by the authorities, especially the Nigerian police and some state officials, that the incident did not happen. Moving forward, it's obvious something happened because some information are coming out and there has been a retraction from the Nigerian police. And moving forward in terms of how this affects trust between the people, that's the citizenry and government, it's important that what happened is a reflection of how we have taken issues of security or incidents reporting, or the whole idea about security, where we have seen narratives surrounding security have been to a large extent politicized, and everybody is trying to take advantage of the situation. That is on government side, reporting of incidences, and the actual incidents that happen is seen as embarrassing government, and therefore there is a lot of efforts that is put in place to ensure that those information do not come out, or they are suppressed to as much as possible. And on the other side, will I call it the opposition, or people saying that or taking advantage of that. In between are the communities themselves that bear the brunt of these issues and that are turned to bargaining chips, if I call it that way, and who feel lost in the process, who feel a kind of nobody cares about them, and that feeling of misery and a feeling of just being pawns in a game in a political chess game. So this is, to my own understanding, what is happening right now, and its implication to the wider concept of trust between the government and the governed.
Let me go back to you now, Hauwa. To what extent, because this is quite important, but to what extent could this event influence Nigeria's diplomatic relations, especially with countries raising concerns about, religious violence?
It really needs to put the proper narrative out there. It's not about how we allow others to interpret our local situations and then react to how they interpret our local situations. It's very important that we are able to, first of all, accept the situation as it comes, give the proper narrative, give the proper information, and own the narrative. It is on the basis of owning that narrative that informs our relationship with the external world. But when we allow the external world to give the narrative of our local situation, then they control how they relate with us. And that is very bad. So for me, this situation of insecurity is not just a political issue, it's not just an economic issue, it's also a diplomatic issue. It's an issue of foreign, diplomacy. It is also about how we accept the situation, how we accept it, and how we, narrate or how we create the story around the situation without telling lies, with being transparent with information, with being honest with the situation that is on the ground, with being open and with being accountable. These are very key. So for me, I think this is very important for us, that Nigeria needs to own the government needs to own the narrative, the government needs to own the process of how information is also utilized, not just within but also without. So that also helps us in, shaping the kind of relationship that we have with the external world. But as it is now, a situation where things are happening and then we are not, even from within, did it happen, did it not happen? Is it 123, is it 23, did they escape, did they not escape? Even within us, the police is not giving us the right information. The security agents are not giving us the right information. And then you allow for all kinds of stories and narratives, even from within. And you also allow by extension from without. And that therefore shapes, you now allow the control of your country, of your external relations to be decided by those narratives that are shaped from outside. And I think we need to change from that. We need to move forward. There's nothing wrong with there's poor insecurity poor security situation in this country. We need to own up to it. Something has happened, we need to own up to it. There are weaknesses, there are challenges, we need to own up to it. So that even where we want foreign, assistance, it is by owning up to the truth that will decide what kind of assistance, what kind of relationship, that comes in. Whether it's even going to be a kind of investment, what kind of investment do we need on the basis of the truth, on the basis of our reality. But when we keep the information, when we allow a lot of manipulation, then we never get the truth of the matter, then we never also get the truth of the solution that we require actually for solving the problem.
All right, let me come to you now, Mr. Chris Otieno. How could this incident affect the ongoing debates about, Nigeria's counter-kidnapping policies and even payments of ransoms?
There will be a negative effect to this approach. We have seen a systematic failure in three critical items of detection, there's been a failure in delaying, there's been a failure in response. When you put that as a cumulative consideration to what we want to pursue as a nation, or what Nigeria wants to pursue as a nation, of course, it's going to negate the entire plot. Number one, our communication was poor. We went out trying to deny what had happened. In the long run, it ends up that what we were denying was actually the truth. What does that speak to the nation? Security is built on very firm foundations where we can offer or render services, where we can respond, and the other persons will take note of what we are doing and build trust between ourselves and them. In that situation, they can be able to give information to us on what we need to counter anything that would happen out there in the field. But in the event that they lose trust, it then becomes difficult for us to be able to obtain that information that could drive our countermeasures, that could drive our detection, deterrence, and response to any incident that could happen in the nation or in any part of this nation. So this particular failure reflects very badly on our ability to secure the future of our children, of our inability to run a force that is able to deter and respond, on our ability to run a force that can effectively communicate and engage community in a way that community builds trust on what these forces is going to do. It casts very bad picture on the Security Council advising the governor, and even the long run also speaks very badly towards the governor himself. So there needs to be a better relook at what we need to do to make sure that these incidences are brought to as low as is realistically possible, if not brought to zero. But the response wasn't very good, and that speaks negatively to every effort that we've intended to do. And we need to move very fast to ensure that we are doing everything within our powers. We have resources, we have manpower, we have tactics, we have weapons, we have everything to make sure that we're going out to respond and prevent any further kidnapping so that we can start rebuilding the confidence of the community and at the same time control the narration on exactly what is happening to our state in Kaduna.
Now let me come to you now, retired Wing Commander Salmanu. Looking at it from a security point of view, is there any benefit for Nigerian citizens when either government or security officials downplay how serious a kidnap situation is?
It doesn't. There is no any security imperative or any security advantage you gain by downplaying the realities. What perhaps people misunderstand and try, conflate with saying what is not true is perhaps information management. How do you manage information so that you state the right information at the right time to the right audience? That does not mean that you mislead those audience or that you give out misleading information or complete denial about issues that are there. Now let's assume that the incidents happened and there was no facts yet. The best thing was not to deny that an incident has happened. If you don't have the facts, complete facts or investigation, or you feel letting out the entire information is going to jeopardize rescue operations, search and rescue and so on and so forth, it's not to deny that nothing happened. It's perhaps to acknowledge that such a thing happened, and that is very important in crisis management, that the incident has happened, and perhaps that you do not have enough information at that time, and assure people that you are that you are taking charge of the situation, and that this will, it will not deteriorate any further. That is confidence building. That makes the people, or make the people that are in the village or in any community or where such a thing is happening, to have confidence that first there is that empathy towards what they have suffered, and there is that assurance that the government or any security agencies are on top of the situation, and that everything is being done to ensure that this number of people, or the people that that it happened to, are rescued, and there is no reoccurrence immediately at that time. But hiding information completely, or misleading or giving information that is not entirely truthful, does a lot of harm to government efforts first, and to the security agencies themselves, because it erodes trust. In a situation and in a counterinsurgency, trust is very vital. In fact, trust, because the people are like, will I call them the prize, or everything is done for the people, because security forces, government security forces are trying to assure people that government is capable of taking care of them, and government is in charge, government is in control, and everything is going to be okay. The bad guys or the terrorists on the other side are trying to, by their actions, to say that government is incapable of securing lives and property. this breaks the social contract between people and the government, and it instills a feeling of lack of trust and hope towards government. So hiding information that should be out there, or when it is out there, to say that it didn't happen or try to change the narrative does not augur well for security, and it erodes the trust, the basis which people cooperate with security agencies. So in any way you look at it, it doesn't do any good to security agencies, nor to the effort at ensuring security itself generally in the communities.
All right, let me come to you now, Hauwa Mustapha. What are the potential human rights implications if the abductions are confirmed but, low profile or denied by authorities?
So fundamentally, it is, let's go back to the constitution of the country, where it states that the security and welfare of the people is the responsibility of government. Where such responsibility fails, the government has failed its people. The government has not just failed its people in terms of governance contracts, but within that, it has also failed its people in terms of giving them the right to live in security, to live without fear, to live as dignified human beings. So it tells a lot around the issue of the right to life, the right to not just live, but live in a peaceful environment, to live without fear of what's going to happen the next day, to sleep without shaking, without fear. So I think these are fundamental issues of human rights here. And by extension, what it means is that the government, that has that principal responsibility to safeguard that human rights of the people, the fundamental right to life, the right to live without fear and live in peace and in harmony within the environment. The government has failed. Fundamentally, what it means is that the human rights, the rights of dignity has also been eroded. The right to feel, of living as human beings has also been eroded. And this comes to, also links to the issue of trust. When the fundamental, reason, for governance, and between the rulership and the people when the link, in terms of trust has weakened, then it tells a lot. You not only have let the people down in terms of not being able to protect their fundamental rights to life, but you have also passed a message onto the people that, look, you are so weak, you are incapable of ensuring their safety and their lives. And so, by implication, probably find ways to either take care of yourself, or you are also passing a message to those terrorists, to those bad guys, that look, you are incapable of defending, the rights of your people, the fundamental rights to even live, to life, to sleep well and wake up without fear. That you have relegated in that responsibility. And so you have created a vacuum for those bad boys to come up and say, look, we can do whatever we want to do. This government is not on your side. This government cannot secure you. This government cannot, even defend your most basic, your most fundamental human right. That's the kind of message that is being passed on. And I think it has a further implication, in terms of even further weakening the fabric of security in the country. It's like a ripple effect. Once you fail in the trust of security, you cannot defend the basic rights of the people, then you give an avenue to the bad boys to say that, look, we have a weakness, there's a vacuum, and they come in, they do whatever they want to do, and has a lot of implications. All right,
Hauwa, I'm sorry, but I have to apologize, but I just have to butt in here because we're about to wrap this conversation up. But before we do that, just final thoughts from you, Mr. Chris Otieno, just 30 seconds, please.
Thank you very much. My thoughts are we need to relook at how we are approaching, what strategy we have against organized crime or violent crime in the nation of Nigeria. security forces need to really look at the velocity of risks and how they are advancing in the entire state, and go back into the arsenal, watch and look for what are the best mitigating measures for us to ensure, number one, we are securing trust. Number two, we're able to detect all these aspects. Number three, we're able to deter. And number four, how effective will our crisis communication be in the event that this happens? If we can compound that into a very solid strategy and be able to execute that par excellence, then basically we're telling ourselves that there's going to be a lot of trust accumulating around our security forces, and that would be a good driver towards us securing the state and ensuring that every citizen of Nigeria believes in us.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Retired Wing Commander Salmanu, I'd like to hear your final thoughts in 30 seconds, please.
My thoughts is that I want to urge on all actors that we should not politicize issues of security, because they are very important. When such happen, there is the need for acknowledgement, there is the need for immediate action to ensure that these are rescued. First, prevention, but when it occurs, there is acceptance, and ensure that there are efforts and resources are deployed to rescue those that have been kidnapped or affected. And when we deny, it means that resources are not deployed for that. And we have seen this play again and again. We don't want that to be the issue. Those initial hours are very important, and if we deny that, that rescue is not put into action.
All right, this is the part where we wrap up the conversation. I have been talking to retired Wing Commander Musa Isa Salmanu, who's a security expert, and also Hauwa Mustapha, who's a development activist, and also Chris Otieno. All three of them have been having a conversation with me as regards insecurity, especially with what happened in Kaduna State, talking about 170 people abducted from a church. Lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Conversations.